Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So,
What's going on, bro?
I'm about to say, maybe you need to start this off.
Nah, you started off because
Okay, so
what's the what? Huh?
What's the name of the podcast? I don't know. If we're doing this right now live, I guess it's He's the Pastor and I'm the Rapper.
No, see, you said it was gonna be I'm the rapper and he's the pastor.
No. Because think about the Fresh Prince. I was really telling it off of that. He's the DJ, I'm the rapper, so he's the pastor.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
I was telling off of that.
Okay, all right. If you're watching this right now,
there we go.
I was about to say he's the DJ. All right. If you're watching this right now, my name is Byron. I'm a pastor, and are you supposed to say my name is Tom?
No, so do your introduction.
All right, look. If you're watching this right now, yes, we have started a podcast, and it's called I'm the Pastor, He's the Rapper. So I am Byron. I'm a pastor here in Daytona Beach, Florida, and
I am Ty Van. I'm a rapper, and I'm a part of a Christian hip hop collective called Crew for Jesus. I'm also based out of Daytona Beach, Florida, and I'm the rapper.
Born and raised.
Yeah, born and raised.
A man from the soil.
Or born and reared, as I learned in English.
Born and reared.
Raised is what you do for animals. Reared is what we do.
I mean, it
that's
depends.
being too deep.
It depends, you know. You could, whatever. Anyway, he's from the streets of Daytona Beach, Florida, the sticks of Daytona Beach, Florida, and I'm from Fayetteville, North Carolina, home of some really good barbecue and J. Cole. 2-6, and y'all know what it is, man. The funny thing is, the other day, Kenyatta and I we went back to the J. Cole performance at the NBA All-Star game.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
So if you're not from Fayetteville, you don't know, or you probably don't know what he did at the end of the show after he performed. And he said 91026 and it's like our street call. Like that's like if you in Fayetteville and somebody do that, you know, like, yo, it's finna go down, or yo, like it's people out here that, you know, could probably hurt you. You know what I'm saying? So
are you trying to say J. Cole's a gang member?
No, he's not a gang member. What he was doing was putting on for the city, because only people from Fayetteville know that.
Now, this is the thing. Byron probably doesn't remember this, but before I was a member of his church, this was like right around the time the All-Star game he's talking about. I think I went over to Byron's house maybe a day or two after that, and he was going crazy about this very thing that he's telling you guys. Like, he was like, man, did you see Cole? He said Tuesday. I was like, of course, I'm not from Fayetteville, so I'm like, all right, bro. Like, I just like Cole, so it was a dope performance, but he was really geek, so.
I'm always geek. I'm geeked about everything and all things J. Cole. I love J. Cole. Yeah, that's my guy.
Well,
if let's think about it. If Haitian Fresh took off and was one of the biggest and best rappers in the nation, wouldn't you be proud? Well, he's not from here.
That's all I'm about to say. No.
Oh, dang. Well, if you took off.
Now, I got some homies actually on 300 pounds of Boo out. They're from Daytona.
See? So, and I don't even support their music like that, but I was like, yo, these cats is from Daytona. Like, we got to listen to the record.
Oh, those Rez I actually grew up with. So it's like, I have songs with this man. So like, that's the homie. So I see in that regard, yes, I would be extreme. Even though, sorry, Rez, I don't, fully agree with the music. That's still the homies at the end of the day. So I would be extremely happy.
And I'll say the same. Like, I don't agree with everything J. Cole does or says, but I rep him because it's like, bro, it's hometown.
Yeah,
Anyway, so the reason why we're putting together a podcast is because Ty and I have a lot of conversations. I won't say a lot, but all of our conversations tend to center around what the Bible says and like how that impacts our culture. So Ty's a rapper, obviously. I love hip hop. I worked in music for a little bit. I did music for a little bit, and we have a lot of conversations, just like what y'all just heard, that many conversations about J. Cole and Rez and 300 pounds of guap and all of that. Like, we have conversations like that, and we wanted people to hear some of those conversations. But, what influences us the most?
I mean, definitely Jesus.
Yeah.
That fuels everything. So we found a way to get back to Jesus. He's definitely the center of not just our conversations, but our lives.
Yeah.
And that's not just the quote that I'm saying.
But we wanted to be dope, and we wanted to be something that y'all would actually want to hear, not just like a podcast full of theology or a podcast full of culture, but both. Like, we want to marry both of those. And as we were kind of processing through the things we wanted to talk about, there's like a lot that's been going on in the culture, and especially in the last week or two, with the passing of DMX, man.
And Black Rob.
Hey, we got to shout out Black Rob too. Like, DMX been getting a lot of love, but man, Black Rob, it's crazy.
Yeah, we lost 2 NYC rappers within the same week. So,
let me ask you
to their families. But go ahead. What you
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Good.
Peace to their families. Prayers to their families as well. Man, what's the first time you heard DMX?
Boys and Girls Club. All right. So, funny story about that. I grew up in a Christian household, and my dad did his best to just to clear me and my sister's mind of, hearing, positive stuff. So with that being said, my first time ever hearing a secular song that I can recall, at least, I was in the 5th grade, and it was a radio. Me and my sister were not allowed to listen to radio, and we were playing pool, and they turned the radio on. Me and my sister looked at each other in fear. And it was Gwen Stefani and Eve. Blow Your Mind?
Let Me Blow Your Mind?
That was the first song I've ever heard on the radio, ever. And me and my sister looked at each other in fear, like we're about to die. Like if our dad comes in right now, it's over. With that being said, DMX, that was at the Boys and Girls Club. That was my first time ever hearing DMX. And I think it was Stop, Drop, Shut Her Down, Open Up Shop. That was the first time I ever heard DMX, Boys and Girls Club.
That's wild to me.
Yep.
Like, that's absolutely wild to me, especially like, I mean, like, now you're a whole rapper.
Right.
And your first time ever hearing the great DMX was at the Boys and Girls Club after hearing Gwen Stefani, which is nuts to me. Like,
true story.
Man, I got introduced to DMX. I think the first time I ever heard DMX was through Mace. So Mace was my favorite rapper of all time.
Murder Mace.
Murder Mace. So, hey, quick history. Mace, DMX, and the Locks all had a group. It was like a collective. It was called the Warlocks. And the idea was whoever got signed first would put on the rest of the folks. So DMX and Mace were actually getting signed around the same time. DMX signed to Def Jam, Mace being signed to Bad Boy. But Mace had an opportunity to bring the Locks on before, even though the Locks was already working out a deal with Puff.
Right.
He had an opportunity to get them on before they could get on with Rough Riders. That's why when they left Bad Boy, where they go? Rough Riders.
Yes.
All of them had a group together called the Warlocks. It was DMX, the Locks, Mace. It was actually another dude in the group that I can't remember, but my first time ever hearing DMX was on Mace's CD, Harlem World, when Harlem World first came out. Actually,
24 Hours to Live or something like that?
Well, actually, there's a whole nother song. I'm not going to sing it because it has a lot of cuss words in it. But, so he's on the album twice.
Okay.
One song he did the hook from Mace, and then another song he did 24 Hours to Live. He had a whole verse.
If you want one.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so to try to get this out quick, man, the first CD I ever owned, the first hip hop CD I ever owned was Mace Harlem World. And I listened to it straight, and I was like, yo, this dude DMX is crazy. I had heard about DMX, but I never heard a DMX song until that time. That was my first time, man. And I fell in love with DMX, man. Not fell in love. That's probably too strong. But I like DMX.
There you go.
Because I like Bad Boy and I liked Rockefeller at the same time. And DMX was like the only person who bridged the gap between two. Like, you didn't really hear a lot of collaboration between Bad Boy and Rockefeller at that time. And DMX had records on Jay-Z's album and Mace's album and Puff's album and the Locks album. He was on everybody's album. So I'm like, yo, this dude he's it, bro. He's it.
That is, first off, I would like to thank you because I never knew anything about this Warlock story. That's probably going to dampen my hip hop card just a little, but I've never heard this story. So that's great information to know now. So thank you. Yeah,
man. Y'all look up the Warlocks. They were good. But man, anytime, so some of the conversation that's been going around about DMX is, man, his faith. And the way he died, for one, but like the faith that he exhibited, you know, whether it's through his prayers on each of his albums or, you know, you go back and you listen to Slippin' and you hear, you know, little things here and there where you're like, yo, was X a Christian? Like, so and we've had this conversation.
Yeah, we have.
Right? And bring them into the conversation, like about us talking about whether X was a Christian or not.
Just long story short, so we did a pilot podcast in a place that the ambience wasn't the greatest. But we had this conversation. Was DMX a Christian? And at this time, DMX was still alive. So
he was on life support at the time.
And we had our thoughts on it. You want me to go kind of deeper to it?
Just tell them what you thought.
So all right. So at that time, I said I feel like DMX had a relationship with God, but I didn't feel like he was a Christian. That's what I said last week.
Yeah.
My thoughts on that it's changed a little, because I watched more interviews and I was seeing like this man really had a heart for God. He just had demons that he was battling. So I feel like the statement I made last week was a little insensitive. But I definitely he definitely was seeking God. He just had his struggles, and sadly he couldn't overcome those struggles. I don't think I want to say if he was a Christian or not, because I wasn't with this man 24/7. Only God would know that. So that's why I was saying I was wrong for saying that. But you could definitely see this man had a love for God. I can definitely say that. That wasn't fake.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so like here's the hard part, right? So like, how do you determine what a Christian is?
Yeah, you remember we talked about this though. Yeah. Jesus talked about this. The wheats and the weeds. So that's it's like, but he told us that's not for us to decide. That Jesus clearly said that.
Yeah.
That's one of the main reasons why I'm saying what I said too. I was insensitive in saying what I said, and I have no problem saying that. We're human. This is gonna break up another podcast about the cancel culture. That's another podcast. But
we already have that in the tuck. We're already getting ready for that one.
I'm not gonna speak too much on it, but yeah, go ahead, man. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah. So I mean, me and you kind of agree on a lot of that. Like, I have asked myself the question, like, was DMX a Christian? One, I have to ask myself, in asking that question, I have to ask myself the question, why is it a big deal for me, whether DMX was a Christian or not? He's not in my life personally. I don't know him personally. I think it does help because it kind of helps me navigate what the Christian life could look like, right?
Correct.
In my opinion, and this is my opinion, y'all do not kill me for my opinion or cancel me. I mean, y'all ain't coming to my church no right now.
You feel me? Identity Church.
Identity Church plug. Go to identitydaytona.org. Check us out. But anyway, man, I don't know if DMX was a Christian. I think DMX exhibited something that we see in a lot of culture, which is someone who's God honoring and maybe not living their life for God, right?
Correct.
So we celebrate that in our culture. We celebrate the idea of being God honoring and not exactly walking with God. And when I think about the things that Jesus has said about what it means to be a Christian, what you have to do and what you should want to do, it's kind of hard for me to make that decision just based off of that small segment of DMX's life that I saw. But at the same time, that small segment showed a lot of fruit of the other side.
Correct.
Right? So like, you can't actively walk in some of the things that he was walking in and be like, yo, I'm in. You know what I'm saying? Like, but let me underscore, only God knows, right?
And I think that's what me and Byron are both pushing. Like, again, we're just sharing our opinions right now, but I think that's what we're leaning towards. Like, only God knows the answer to that. One thing I do want to say, Charlamagne the God said this, but I have to agree based off what I've seen from DMX. This man was probably the most authentic, like, life form that we've seen. What I'm saying is, you know how us as Christians sometimes we put on this front, it's like this is the church version of you. You got the work version of you. You got the father version of you. DMX was DMX.
Yeah.
That's what just from looking, DMX was DMX. It was like he was this street dude, but he gonna let you, like, I have a heart for women. I'm gonna say some foul things about women as well.
Yeah.
I love, like, it wasn't like he was trying to put this front on. It was like, you gonna get DMX.
Right.
So.
But does authenticity make you a Christian?
No. But what I was saying,
more Christians should be authentic, though.
I think that's what I'm trying to get to. Like I'm not saying I'm not saying he's the staple child to look at for Christian. What I'm saying is, I feel like his love for God was, at least from what I'm seeing, it was more authentic than these people that put on this front that they had this love for God. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to get. I'm not saying that's what makes him more of a Christian or more of an authentic Christian. I'm not in the shoes to say that. That's not my call.
So there's something we can learn from DMX's.
There we go. That's what I'm trying to get to.
I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig that completely. I mean, that makes me think like, you know, I heard somebody say one time that hip hop has done more for our faith than the church has. You know what I mean? And I think DMX would be like the poster child of what they would say. Yeah. Why they would say that, right? Because DMX is authentic. He's living out, you know, what we think is, or what he, you know, would put out as his faith. He's praying, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's at Woodstock and he might be drunk and high and performing and saying B and all this junk during the songs. And then he stops and he prays. Like, are there, you know, it makes you ask yourself the question, like, have more guys been open to who God is and been open to God, period, and having a faith in Jesus because of what they see in DMX, or maybe even other hip hop artists who are, you know, living out their faith? What would you say about that?
And with that, I perfect example. Again, this is my thoughts and opinions. You guys say this, just roll with me. But Byron knows this. So I started off, I was raised in the church. I never really had my own relationship with God. I kind of struggled with that. So I ran, when I moved out of my people's house, I ran from God. It's like, I got my own freedom now. I can do whatever I want. I don't have to go to church on Sundays. Like, nobody's forcing me to do this. Cool. I did that little stint for a while. God was pulling on me. I came back to God. Okay. That's when I started doing Christian rap for the first time. In doing that, now I have my own relationship with God, but then I was seeing how America portrays Christ. That wasn't sitting right with me. This was at the height of Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown and all this. So it was like, I wasn't rocking with that. That was toiling with me. So I came back from God to get to your question. The reason why and for the people that don't know, this boy doesn't go back and forth, but it's my journey. But Toby Nwigwe.
Yeah.
He is a rapper that has God influence, but me seeing that in him, that really I was like, I need to get back on my God to, you know what I'm saying, really go on my relationship with God. So it was like, that helped me. I wouldn't say Toby's a Christian rapper. Yeah. He has, I feel like he has the values of Christianity outside of rap, but I saw that authenticity. And it was like, bro, I want that. You know what I'm saying? And then that pulled me back. So I feel like it varies for the person, but I know I'm like a living witness. Like, hip hop definitely has had a pivotal role in my faith walk. Like I said, I don't think I would be here right now if it wasn't for Toby being as bold as he was with his wife and being faithful to his wife. And then again, there's some questionable things you could say about him with his Christianity and his music, but at that time I needed that. Yeah. Like, of course, growing up I can see it, and I'm not trying to, pick out flaws, but at that time, seeing that inspired me to get to this place that I am now. So
that's good, man. That's good. We Ty and I were talking about this earlier. Like, my story is, I grew up in the church, and I actually like church. Like, I'm kind of odd, but hip hop never made me like think about God at all. Matter of fact, like, I remember when that whole, what was that dude who came out? He was like, "Oh, hip hop music is the devil's music," and I can't remember bruh's name, but he had like DVDs talking about how like,
I wish I could think of
if you listen to this, then like, you know, you're worshiping Satan and all of that stuff. And I used to be like, yo, he might have a point. Like he might be right about this, right? Like DMX, his name is Darkman X, and like look at the blood on his CD cover. I was kind of on that for a while. I wasn't one of those people like telling people to throw their CDs away because I wasn't really walking with Jesus either. I could understand it. Like I just couldn't figure out how hip hop and Christianity could be one until I got saved. 2012, I started listening to Lecrae. Obviously, you can't listen to Christian hip hop without listening to Lecrae.
Big
you know
old
what I'm saying? So I was listening to Lecrae, and I started finding all of these Christian hip hop artists, and I had that same argument that most other people had. Yo, I like it, but it's whack. Like the music is whack. But then I got to this point where I was just like, yo, the two can coexist. And I started hearing guys looking for God in their music. Mm-hmm. So like I would go back to secular music, quote unquote secular music, and I would hear artists like DMX, like, let's just use DMX as an example. And I would hear him crying out for God. And I'm like, yo, this is what dudes in the street really be feeling. Mm-hmm. Like these guys, grandmas went to church. These guys know who Jesus, when I'm out on the block, these dudes know who Jesus, like they know about Jesus. They know about God. They know, what God has promised for them. They just haven't taken that step. Like they haven't walked it out. They haven't like actually been engaged with the gospel in a way that would make them say, yo, I'm putting this away and I'm going to walk with this. So if hip hop has done anything for me, hip hop has shown me the realness of people who are vulnerable and really need God and want God.
Correct.
They just don't know how to get to him.
Correct.
So, like I've said this to you before. One of the songs that makes me think about how crazy this world is and how all of us have sinned the most is J. Cole, High for Hours. Like that's like by far one of my favorite songs. And I would never play it in church, obviously, because there's a lot of stuff in there that's kind of crazy. But he talks about hypocrisy. He talks about the struggle with like seeing justice enacted in our world. He talks about the fact that, there are times where he feels hopeless. And the only opportunity or the only thing that can pull him away from that is a power that's greater, right? And I'm like, yo.
It's like you said, they be throwing the alleys. Like KOD was throwing the alleys. It's like, bro, just say Jesus Christ. It's
Jesus.
Like you wait for the last song, just say it.
Jesus Christ. That's what I need in the end of the Jesus Christ.
It's like you be waiting, like you say, it's true. It's like they're looking for it. They're not walking it out. Yeah. So it's like you hear it. You definitely hear it, man.
Yeah, but Cole has got honoring. Or I won't say he's got honoring, right? So like if DMX is in this category where he's like, I see it, I'm just not living it. Cole is in the category where he's like, I'm not living it, but I see where it could be beneficial.
But I think the difference between DMX and rappers like Cole, because the baby references God. I follow the baby on Instagram. He'd be like, "Thank God."
I like the baby.
I do too.
North Carolina.
I'm about to say North Carolina, but I think
shout out to Moray as well, hometown.
Yo, I think the difference between DMX and I guess I could put Chance in this category. All right, so DMX, Chance, and Kanye I could put in this category and separate them from the rappers that profess God. Like, I know God is there because they say Jesus. Yeah. And there's
specifically Jesus.
Because there's many of gods, contrary to popular belief. Right. Like, well, at least if you read the Bible, that's what the Bible claims. Like, there's other gods, but Jesus is the one true and living God.
Yeah, true and living God.
I think that's what separates the DMX and the Chance the rappers and the Kanye West. Like they're proclaim, like Kanye West has a album called Jesus is King.
Yeah,
you feel me? So it's like that's different. That's more for
let me stop you right here.
Go ahead.
So do you believe Kanye West is a Christian?
Bro, I can't make that call.
Okay.
That's not for me to make that call.
This man don't want to be controversial. He don't want the podcast to jump off.
That's not even it, bro. I'm gonna back that up with scripture. I told you. Listen now, if we would have asked that question last week, you got another response. But I processed though. I was thinking about not last week, 2 weeks ago. That was 2 weeks ago we did that. But the conversation that me and Barbara have, I don't just we had that conversation. Now leave it. I think about these conversations. So I thought that I'm not one to say that's not my job.
Yeah.
Our job as Christians is to love God and love people.
Yeah. See, that sounds easy. It's not easy. Trust me, guys. That actually is a part of my job, though.
What's that?
To determine whether I believe whether a person is a Christian or not. Because as a pastor, I have to be able to figure out where this person is in their walk so I can figure out how to shepherd them.
But
right?
I'm going to tell you where, I'm not going to say it's different. You're right.
Yeah.
Us in the Christian community trying to say that someone is a Christian when you don't have the relationship with them.
Yeah, that's a big...
That's where I'm like, that's why I don't have a relationship with Kanye.
Yeah.
I didn't have a relationship with DMX. So who am I to say that this man is a Christian or not?
That's what I think is and we could do another pod on this, but I think an even bigger problem right now is the globalization of our minds when dealing with Christianity. So like we have social media, we have the internet, we have TV, and we have access to all of these people, but we don't know their life.
Exactly.
So, and I don't think God designed us that way. I don't think God designed us like there was nobody in Jerusalem who was like, y'all wonder what the natives are doing over there in North America right now.
Even their worldview.
They didn't even know. They didn't even know it existed. Like it was a whole nother 1,000 years before they even knew that it existed. So like we you know, and I even think it's part of the church's fault. Because the church has preached this message of go out and conquer the world. There are people all over the world that need to hear Jesus, and that is true. Go on
these mission trips when there's people in your own backyard.
Exactly.
The podcast.
So what we're saying is, man, worry about the people who are right in front of you. DMX is not in my life. I love his music, but I don't even know his kids' names.
We don't know Earl like that.
We don't know Earl like that.
We don't know Earl like that.
I love Kanye, but he's not in my life. You know, now if he want to lead worship for us one Sunday, maybe. You know what I'm saying? I don't know Chance. Like I know people who know Chance, but I don't know Chance. You know, and one thing you said about Chance, DMX, and all this, and I know we got to wrap up in a second. I would separate those as well.
Go ahead.
Because Kanye and Chance, I think we have some fruit. Because we know that they have been engaging with pastors.
I agree.
They've been a part of churches. They have you and I have had a conversation about Chance leading Vacation Bible School at a church in Chicago. So I think I would call those Christians who rap, right?
Correct.
I would call X, I would put an asterisk by X and say,
he's an anomaly.
We don't know if he was a Christian, but I hope he was, right? And then there's other guys like J. Cole, and I pray one day he will call upon the name of Jesus Christ and walk his life out. And that doesn't mean that I want him to be like Craig Mack and be in some goofy church and quit rapping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I would much rather him, RIP to Craig Mack, by the way. I would much rather him just live his life out as J. Cole, who is a Christian.
There we go. I wholeheartedly agree, man.
I can't drop no bombs. I don't have no bomb. But
I got 2 minutes. Yeah. How we gonna take this out?
Yo, how we gonna wrap it up? What do you think? Are we gonna answer the question? Has hip hop done more for our faith than the church?
I think to answer that question, it depends on the person listening. Because again, going back to my situation, even though I was quote unquote running from God, I still was looking for God.
Yeah.
I was hurt. So I was still open to God. It was just like, God, like I'm hurt by these people that are saying they're Christians. I don't want to go after this. It don't seem like this is you, but I'm still open to you.
Yeah.
So for people that's in those positions or similar positions, yes. For people that you don't know about God or you're not looking for God, I don't know, because maybe it could peak. So I'm going to honestly say I don't know. Y'all saw me process that out loud. I don't know.
Wow. I would say I don't believe that hip hop has done more, but I think hip hop
impactful
hip hop is impactful, and hip hop is a tool used by God to expose people to, one, sinfulness, two, their need for God, and for some, three, an exposure to a God that they hadn't seen in that type of way. So I think hip hop is a tool used by God. Music is a tool used by God to show his glory, our need for him, and a piece of him that we may not have seen in some other places.
That sounds like a book.
Maybe.
With many of books inside of it.
I don't know. Oh, what you getting at?
I'm just saying, you know, we're gonna leave that alone.
Yeah.
That sounds like a familiar book.
But hey, let's wrap up with this. And I know we at the 30-minute mark. We're gonna keep this thing around 30 minutes. Let's wrap up with this. One thing we have not given enough attention to is the power of the church. And if you're not involved in the church, we want you to be involved in the church. That's one thing that we did not get to see in X's life. Maybe he was involved in the church, but we don't know. But I think you grow when you are around like-minded believers who care about your body and your soul, and they are going to support you, you know, through the love of Jesus Christ. So if you're not a part of a church, we want you to be a part of a church.
Yes. And if you're in the greater Volusia County area and would like to come by Identity Church, you could join us on Zoom 3 weeks out of the month, and we meet once a month. But all jokes aside, just get a part of a church. A church that you believe in, that you see that these people are chasing after God, even if it's not identity. Shame on you. But but yeah, that's it, dog.
Yo, and if you're listening to this right now and you may be thinking like DMX, or thinking like J. Cole, or thinking like Chance, or even maybe Kendrick, you know, that you know of a God, but you don't know God, we'd love to talk to you about that. So hit us up. You can follow Ty at Ty Van.
I am Ty Van.
I am Ty Van. Send him a DM. You can follow me at Byron L. Cogdale on everything. This is the I'm the Pastor, or I'm the Preacher, He's the Rapper.
Or podcast. He's the Pastor, I'm the Rapper podcast.
He's the Rapper, I'm the Pastor.
You got it. I have to say it there. He's the Pastor, I'm the Rapper. So I'm Ty Van. He's Byron Cogdale. He's the Pastor, I'm the Rapper.
Oh, yeah.